Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host for Donna's Edge television, radio, and podcast talk show. You can find us on the television set two different ways. You can find us on channel 182 on Charter Communications. That's up in North Alabama. Another way is worldwide, and that's on Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. Continue sending email, by the way. It just makes my day. Donna at donnasedge.com. That's Donna at donnasedge.com. Continue finding us on Facebook. We like to do Facebook Live, all social media sites. You can find us there as well. And thank you again so much for your content. You're the reason we do this, okay, and all of your input. And I do listen to and watch every single mail you send out to me. I have Jonathan Berryhill with me right now, and he's actually from around my neck of the woods in Alabama. You live in North Alabama, is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct. We live on our family farm in Anderson, Alabama, just in between Florence and Huntsville, Alabama.
Oh, that's a good neck of the woods to be in right there.
That's right.
Absolutely. Now, you are an author, speaker. You own your own business, and tell us a little bit more about your background and what inspired you to be where you're at right now.
Yes, ma'am. So I'm an ex-military. I served in the United States Army. I was an infantry sergeant when I got out. I did a total of 7 years, which included active and some reserves and guard duty. I was deployed to Bosnia in '97 and enjoyed my time in the Army. I got some bruises and banged up quite a bit, especially if you're in the infantry and you get deployed, it gets kind of rough. Well, I got out and got into law enforcement. The only thing I'd ever done was, chase bad guys overseas and learn how to shoot real well. So that fit real good with law enforcement. So I got hired on, went to police academy. When I went to police academy, my wife had our first daughter, our first child. So our Mabel was born January 1st, 2000. She was the first baby born in the Northport Hospital. And so I went to police academy for 12 weeks on January 3rd. So that was probably not the best decision, but it was a decision that I had to make. And so got into law enforcement, did that, worked drugs, narcotics, lost a few buddies there as well. And my wife was like, John, please, can you do something else? And it was wearing on my marriage. My marriage was in shambles, falling apart. I was a young man in my mid-20s. And so literally just turned and just gave my life just turned my life back over to Christ, and it changed my life. And so what I did is I was a pretty good high school football player, and I had gotten recruited by a number of colleges. Gene Stallings actually recruited me from Alabama. And so at 25 years old, I walked on over at University of North Alabama and played linebacker. I had two children. Went back to school, got a pre-med biology and chemistry degree, graduated with honors, and got into the healthcare world. And that's where it all started for me. I got into healthcare sales a few years in, started my own business. A few years in, sold my first business, and for a decent amount of money. And that's where it all started. And did the fast forward that there was some more acquisitions and transitions, but still own a healthcare company today, a government contracting business today. But 5 years ago, I said, you know what? I'm sitting here mentoring and coaching a lot of veterans, a lot of ex-law enforcement, and just a lot of guys in general, athletes as well, on how to create a business, what's your why, what motivates you to get up every day. And so I said, I'm going to practice what I preach. And I saw this commercial about getting into real estate. So I said, you know what? Why not? I got government contracting, I've got health care. Let me try this, and I'm going to apply everything that I have done in the previous years, and I'm going to apply it, and I'm going to practice what I preach. And that's about the same time I felt the Lord I felt the tug to write a book, to share my experiences, my marriage experiences, my fatherhood. I'm married to my high school sweetheart. We have 6 beautiful children. We now have 2 grandsons and 2 more on the way. But anyway, that's so I got into real estate. And fast forward, I now own 3 real estate brokerages, and this is all in 5.5 years. I own 3 real estate brokerages. I've recruited over 50 plus agents. We're in 2 states now. We're fixing to be in 3. And so that's kind of the elevator pitch, even though it's kind of long, but that's where we are now. I've wrote my book. It's in the editing, publishing stage right now. Our goal is to get it released by July 1st. but I kind of do bits and pieces on my social media. So, on our Instagram page, I do a lot of talking about real estate and really mentoring and coaching there. And then on social media, on my Facebook social media side, I'm more of the entrepreneur and stuff like that. So, anyone out there with social media, I'd love to, you follow me on Instagram at john.berryhill. Or social media, just look up Jonathan Berryhill. And then my website is johnberryhill.com. But that's kind of my story of who I am. We live on our family farm. All my children live on the farm. They all have houses with their spouses. They all work for the company or one of the companies. They may not be the one company. So my son-in-law works for our healthcare side. My son is the VP, so he kind of floats on both sides of real estate and healthcare. I strongly am just real estate. But that's kind of where we are. We also raise quarter horses on our farm here in North Alabama. So, and living the, as I tell my wife and I tell folks, we're living our dream life. We're still working hard. We still got a lot of goals that we want to achieve. We want to leave a legacy for our grandsons. And so, and our grandkids. I'm sure one day somebody's going to have me a granddaughter, but just super thankful and excited to be able to share my story to hopefully inspire, some veteran, some ex-law enforcement, some military, ex-collegiate athlete, or just someone in general that once they read it, maybe they'll pick up a nugget and say, I can do that. And that's the reason I'm sharing. I just hope to inspire inspiration, create hope for someone else out there, kind of where I was when I was broken, my marriage was on shambles and stuff like that.
Well, I'm so glad you made it. And let me say this. Thank you so much for your service. We're very military proud in this family and in this business right here as well. But again, thank you for all you've done and all you will continue to do. Let me ask you a question, because people define success different ways. How would you define success?
I would define success the same as I would define wealth, and that's living life on your own terms. And so what does that look like? It looks different for everyone. I want to be able to plan my own hours. I want to be able to take my family on trips. I want to spend the most time with my family as I can. That's what it looks like to me. And so I understand there's going to be some sacrifices to where, could I achieve more in the financial aspect of things? Potentially, yes. And I still think I'm doing a good job at that. We're growing, but I'm not going to give up the time that I gave up years ago, whereas I was just focused on other things. I was drifting, excuse me, as I like to say. So, success is going to look different for everybody. You just have to figure out, what do you want in life and who you are. I'm real big on my book on, what your identity is. And so, success is going to be different for everyone.
What wakes you up in the morning and gives you the drive to make it work?
My beautiful wife, my children, and now my grandchildren. So like I told you before, I about wrecked my marriage. I was being unfaithful and just really just wondering. You talk about drifting. And so I woke up, this was back in the early 2000s. I woke up, God woke me up one night and just laid this conviction on my heart that I knew I was doing wrong. And so, I picked up the phone, called my wife and begged her forgiveness and said, if you take me back, I will give you a life that, you can only dream of. I'll work my tail off. And so between that prayer and everything and getting out and working my tail off, I feel that I'm doing a pretty good job. My wife tells me so. And so, that's my drive. That's my why, as they say. My why is my wife, my children, and now my grandchildren.
My husband and I own our own business also. It's just the show. And I'm into all the natural healings and everything. You should see the farm we have right now. We have herbs and all kinds of things out here. And a lot of the show is about that, is how to live naturally, and
that's awesome.
Buy big pharma is the way we look at it in this
family. I am 100% on board with you. Actually, one of my sons, his name is Micah. He's 20. He's going to be 21 years old here in not too long. He goes out on our farm and he harvests herbs. He harvests mushrooms. He'll create tinctures for us. He'll create salves for us. So we're real big into holistic and natural approaches.
Oh, we have to get together. Ask him if he has the comfrey plant, COMFREY. It is a lifesaver. COMFREY. And it takes a while to get it to growing, but once it does, make sure you put it in where you want it to be, okay? Because it will just explode. load after about the second year. But yeah, I mean, all these things are absolutely wonderful. Well, let me ask you another question, because a lot of spouses can't work together. Now, my husband and I do. We've been in business for 30 something years, and we used to own an internet company, and we had a cell phone company. Remember those Nextel phones that used to be out
I
there?
do.
Okay, we own 6
Yeah.
locations in Alabama, but we were able to make it happen. But we do 2 different things, and so I was the voice out there, the communicator with all of the businesses and what have you. And my husband does all of the stuff I find boring. It's like, he loves being on the computer. He just loves, putting stuff together like that. But we don't get in each other's way. He handles his part. I handle my part. Now you've got kids involved in the business. How do you make it work? That's always the number one question I get.
Yeah. So, you you have to go into it with a humble approach, as you know. You can. It's not always my way. I'm real big. In my younger years, it probably wouldn't have worked because I was hard headed and I was still breaking free of some of the chains and my identity was forming. But now, as a father, and one of my best things in the world is being a husband and a father. And so I think a lot of it just has to be with just, going into it with humility and in a servant's heart, because I want them to be happy. I want them to want to work here. I don't want them to be, you can see some toxic relationships with, in parents or family working together. And I don't want that at all. They know they have the freedom. My son, he played college football. He ended up playing college football at Western Carolina University. He worked on his business and administration law degree. And so I didn't know if he was going to want to come home and work for the family, although I gave him the option. But he did. He wanted to come home. When he first left, he's like, I'm not coming back. I'm going to go spread my wings. I'm going to probably end up down in South Florida. And I said, what are you going to do in South Florida? I don't know, but we're going to do something. I may play in the NFL. And so I told him, I said, dream big, buddy, go out. Well, he called me one day. I'll never forget it. I was on the farm. I think I was messing with a horse or something. And he said it was, I think it was about March, right before he finished up in May. And he said, Dad, I'm ready to come home. I want to come live on the farm and I want to work with you if you'll have me. And so I said, man, are you kidding? This is a dream for me. So having him come home, my son-in-law and daughter were already working for the family business. She's the oldest. Mabel's the oldest. And so Mabel and her husband work for the company, although Mabel is now more stay at home with my grandson. Then you have Lily and Levi, Levi's my second. He's married to Lily. She works for the company. Levi works for the company, and she's about to have our third grandson, her second child. And then my next oldest is Micah, the one I told you goes out and picks herbs and mushrooms and stuff like that. Because we have we usually get a lot of good morels. This year we didn't get a bunch of morels, and I love to eat morel mushrooms. They're great. But he also works for the company. And then I have Noah, Adam, and Millie still at home. They're still being homeschooled. Noah just finished up. He works on the farm full time. He makes sure everything's took care of and stuff like that. And Adam and Millie are still in school. But going back to what you said, it's just, having a servant's heart, trying to create the environment that they want to be in, that other employees want to be in. We've got some employees that's been with us for a while since I've started the business. And I think it's just all about the atmosphere you create, the culture, as they say. You're either creating a culture or it's creating itself. So you got to be careful and make sure you create a good culture.
Oh, absolutely. We've got to go into a commercial break. We're going to be right back in just a few minutes. So everybody hang in there. Did that not went by pretty fast, didn't it? We'll be right back.
Queen City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you.
You know, finding the right home isn't just about bedrooms and square footage. It's about comfort, security, and the feeling you get the moment you walk through the door. That's why so many families across Greenwood and the Lakelands area trust Jenny Ferguson with Keller Williams. And I'll tell you from personal experience, Jenny was my realtor, and she truly cares about her clients. Jenny takes the time to listen, to understand what matters most, and to guide you every step of the way, whether you're buying your first home, upgrading, or ready to sell. Because this isn't just a transaction, it's your life. With local knowledge, personal care, and a commitment to getting it right, Jenny Ferguson makes the process simple and even enjoyable. So if you're thinking about buying or selling, now's the time to make your move. Call Jenny Ferguson with Keller Williams in Greenwood today and take the next step toward a place you'll truly love coming home to. Good afternoon, Sunshine. Medical Minute brought to you by Dr. Chuck with Lakelands Chiropractic, where an ounce of prevention is worth what? A pound of cure. So what is the Beamer? Okay, now the Beamer uses very gentle pulse to electromagnetic signals. This will stimulate healthy muscles and it supports the temporary blood flow. Now let's talk Beamer and circulation support. Now the Beamer gently supports natural circulation in healthy muscles. Now that's what I call natural health. Thank you so much for watching your Medical Minute, brought to you by Dr. Chuck. You know who he's with. He's with Lakelands Chiropractic, where an ounce of prevention is worth what? A pound of cure. I hope you have a super duper awesome rest of the afternoon. You take care. Shine your style at Kiss My Glass right here in the Anderson Mall. There's a place where style meets sparkle. At Kiss My Glass, every piece is handcrafted, custom designed, and made to shine just like you. Owner Beth Gibson brings creativity to life with stunning custom tumblers, gifts, and one-of-a-kind pieces you won't find anywhere else. Look for the perfect gift or something uniquely you, from bold and glamorous to simple and elegant. There's something for every style, so stop by, get inspired, and leave with something unforgettable. Kiss My Glass inside the Anderson Mall, Anderson, South Carolina, where your sparkle begins. Be sure to check out Kiss My Glass on Facebook for updates and specials and gift ideas.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer
yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
Okay, we're back. My name is Donna, and I am your host of Donna's Edge Television, radio, and podcast talk show. Thank you so much for being with us. You're the reason we do what we do. That's why we have Jonathan Berryhill with us right now, and he's talking about being in business. So let me ask you this, because I worked the corporate world for a long time. I was with GTE when nobody had a cell phone. That was tough. And my accounts for the government and the government and business accounts. And it was fun. I've loved everything I've ever done. I know you have too. But sometimes you just have to leave a particular world to start another one. But I'm going to tell you what, a lot of folks have an issue jumping away from a good, cushy corporate job into owning their own business. I've never looked back. I love owning my own business. I can say what I need to say, and I can just do it. I don't have to wait on the chain of command to make a decision. I just look at Phil and say, I'm ready to do it. He's looking at me right now laughing. Yeah, that's all I have to do. I say, I'm ready to do it. Let's just jump in. So what about the person who's, they're in their box. They're very comfy right there in their box. They have grand ideas, but they're overlooked in the corporate world. What would you like to say to that person?
I would say comfort is the number one killer to success. Comfort's the number one killer to growth. And so, comfort is a great thing, and it's cozy and warm and stuff like that. But, if you want to grow, you don't go to the gym and get cozy. You go to the gym to work out and to sweat and to build muscle. You don't go walk to get cozy. You can't get too cozy in anything in life. Whether it's a relationship or work or anything like that. But I would say this. Take that leap of faith. I'm a big proponent, even though I own other businesses such as in the healthcare, government contracting and stuff. Real estate is a huge, huge opportunity for those to take that leap of faith, even on a part-time basis. We on my Instagram page, I offer it's called the Agent Blueprint Playbook. It's what I did over the last 5.5 years to build a 7-figure commission real estate agency, or as a real estate agent. And it has in there an online link that you can go and get your real estate license at home. You can take the course at home, and then you can take your state exam, and you can do it part-time. I'll tell you a quick story. I had one gentleman, his first closing ever as a real estate agent within his first 90 days, paid him $36,000 on a commission. Now that's not normal. It was a good deal, but he met a person, I think at a restaurant. They became friends. Next thing you know, he listed his property, sold it. So, real estate's a great part-time to start a full-time career. I always say real estate license is it can make an average to below average person earn an above average income by getting your real estate license. And you can do it part-time if you want. But a lot of I've got I think 51 or 52 agents now. Half of them are part-time, half of them are full-time, and a lot of the full-times were part-time in the beginnings, but they took that leap of faith. So, I just encourage, take that leap of faith, believe in yourself, focus on the results, and then just get out there and do it.
So what states are you in? You mentioned Alabama. What are the other two?
Alabama, Tennessee, and we're about to be licensed in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're looking to grow. We're adding brokerages. I just launched my new land real estate brokerage called America's Outdoor Realty. So we're excited. That's aor-land.com. So we actually are talking to some other brokers in other states in joining us.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's a good idea. So let me ask you about one extremely important thing about being in business, even if it's only a 2-person operation, and that's your views on customer service.
Yes. Yeah, my views on customer service is your customers are everything. That's your lifeblood.
They're wrong, they're right.
So, yes.
Even if they're wrong, they're right.
Yes, absolutely. And so, you just have to, we had a lunch today with an agent, and I told him, I said, listen, in real estate, you're going to meet some of the nicest, sweetest, coolest people, but you're also going to meet some not so nice, some, maybe they're a little bit jerks or whatever you want to call them, and I said, you know what, you just got to turn the other cheek and just say, you know what, you got to be thankful for all the other ones that are good.
Oh, something I've noticed though, those are the hardest nuts to crack, but once they are cracked, they are loyal to you for absolutely ever. And it's not you they're mad at. It's something that happened probably on the way to work. It's maybe they're not happy at home, something like that. But I just don't take it seriously. And because I don't take it seriously, it just doesn't affect me anymore. Now, it used to, but I don't know. I think sometimes we take life too seriously.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's Tony Robbins that says you don't live life, you live the life you focus on. And I guess, and I'm a prime example of that. Now I have some, things that I do when I get up in the morning is, the first thing I do is I start saying things that I'm thankful for. Because a heart of gratitude, it's hard to be angry and upset when you're sitting there saying how much you're thankful for things. Mm-hmm. And so I've practiced that over years and years and years. So, just remember that the life you're living is the life that you're focusing on. So if you're focusing on all the negative, then that's what you're going to be living out. But if you're focusing on all the positive and full of gratitude and thankfulness, then that's going to be the life you live.
Let me ask you another question. This is about biblical principles. So what biblical principles do you install in your business and with your employees?
A lot. So, the book of Matthew talks about, the golden rule, do to others as you would have them do to you, work as unto your master as you're working for the Lord. So we're not doing things here on earth, to please people. We should be doing things to honor our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And so that's how we try to do. That's how we try to manage. That's how we try to treat people, each other. And, we try to really, really encourage everyone else to, number one, be positive, be loving, be caring, and stuff like that.
I have a book, and I've got it right up there. It's The Richest Man in Babylon, and it was written by George Clayson. Have you read that book?
I have read that book, yes.
Oh, that is a very, very good book. And it goes on, and it's exactly what Jesus says to do. And you're seeing the songs of Solomon in there too. And so, I mean, there's so many things that you can do. But I met an atheist once, and we were living in Alabama. And this is when Roy Moore was told to take down the 10 Commandments. Remember when that?
I remember that.
So our church, we all went on the big bus, and we went to Montgomery to kind of a nice protest about that. And nobody threw themselves in the room. Nobody showed out, none of that stuff. But anyway, there was an atheist there. And so I met him. And I'm not afraid to talk to anybody. And I know you're not either. I mean, that's what we're here on earth to do. And so I just said, well, let me ask you a question. I said, wouldn't you at least like for your employees to, go by the 10 Commandments, such as not steal? Thou shalt not steal. Is that not a good principle in your business? And he said, yeah, you got me there. So I mean, whether you are believing in God or not, these are just basic principles to give you a better life.
Absolutely. So I didn't tell you, it's in my book. I ran for state senate back 12 years ago. And one of my closest friends is an attorney in Huntsville. He was my campaign chairman. He had been the governor's chief of staff. His name's Stan McDonald. He's the one that convinced me to run for state senate, and I did. And getting to see all that political stuff and experience all that. But you're absolutely right. We also do not murder. I mean, all those things are just like, hey, it's kind of common sense here, and then as a biologist and a chemist, and to me, because my mind starts in Genesis. And so when I see creation, I kind of go to the scripture, Romans 1:20, where it talks about man has no excuse because of the creation. And you see that there's a designer out there. So, I mean, it's so to me, common sense to that, that biblical principles are a good thing to live by. Again, like you said, whether you're atheist or Christian, I'm pretty sure whatever you believe, you don't want to be murdered. You don't want to be hurt. You don't want nobody stealing from you. So, it's not bad to have the 10 Commandments up.
It's a good thing. Absolutely is. One more thing.
Yes.
Okay. If you could give someone who is brand new starting out the business for the first time, what's the number one piece of advice you'd like to give them today?
Don't have short-term goals. A business is supposed to last for years. And I believe, most entrepreneurs that I have mentored and or coached, they have this short-term thinking. Hey, it's been 90 days, it's not working. I'm like, if I would have quit 90 days in, my marriage would maybe been bad, my parenting. You don't go to college for 90 days. So I would just say, plan it out, 2, 3, 4, 5, set some long-term goals, have belief, and then just be positive and be repetitive on what it takes to get it done.
That's what it is. We're going to have to call it a day. Thank you again so much for being with me on the show today, Jonathan. Again, how can folks find out more about you?
JohnBerryhill.com. That's JohnBerryhill.com. JohnBerryhill.com. Or they can go to Instagram at John.Berryhill or Facebook, Jonathan Berryhill. But it was a pleasure, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for all you've done. And thank you guys so much for watching. You're the reason we do what we do. Send an email, by the way, and that's Donna at DonnasEdge.com, Donna at DonnasEdge.com. I cherish those emails. Again, thank you. And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Take care.